Peace. This is Nigger for Life coming to you live. As always, good praise on Holy Father, the Almighty Nigger, for another blessed day to bring forth His word and His truth. In today's lesson, I'm going to be showing to you without a shadow of a doubt that we have been known as NiGRitians or Negroes since the beginning of time. We're going to be coming from this book right here, Illusions, Social History of the Races of Mankind, First Divisions, NiGRitians. We're going to be coming from the Word, the Scriptures, and we're going to be coming from this website right here, the second N-word. Alright? Now, to set the stage, I hope YouTube don't copyright strike me, but just listen to this. You pause this. Check this out. This is from school days. Listen to this. If you all have never seen this movie, check it out.
Y'all niggas, and you gon' college don't mean who you gonna bitch, man. Well, if the shoe fit, now I bet you niggas do think y'all white. College don't mean shit. Y'all niggas, and you gon' be niggas forever, just like us. Niggas, like us. White. College don't mean shit. Hey, like a fucking bitch. Who you gonna bitch, man? Well, if the shoe fit, now I bet you niggas do think y'all white. College don't mean shit. Y'all niggas, and you gon' be niggas forever, just like us.
Why is he saying that? Why is Samuel Jackson saying that? That we are niggas and we gonna be niggas forever. The Most High name is Nigger. He said, this is my name forever, until all generations.
Niggas. You're not niggas.
Now, let's do this. Okay. So, let's go back here to the second N-word, right? And it says that we were known as NiGRitians, niggers, Negroes since the beginning. It says the greeting of nigger was prevalent and the same as brother in the U.S. until the 1940s. Alright? Now we've been over this site before. You can check it out. You can check this site out on your own. Alright? You have the map named NiGRitia. Okay? Now, and once I read this information to you, and you continue to disbelieve me and don't believe what I say, and it's coming from the word as well to back up what I'm saying is true, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. We were never called Israelites. We were always known as NiGRitians and Negroes. So we're going to go here to the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary one more time. Look, I want to show you all these, watch how I bring all these sources out and watch how it all connects. Zondervan's. So you got Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, right? If I have to make a part 2 to this, I will. So you got Zondervan. And you already know where I'm going with this. We're going to Ham. And it said that Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably 96 years before the flood, one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor or the forefather of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Now, we're going to go back here to the map. And we're going to click on the map right here. The map of NiGRitia. And it says here in the center you have NiGRitians right there. He says he became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So let's go into this map. And so you have NiGRitians, Negroland right here. So you have Egypt. You have Egypt right there, the Egyptians. You have the Nubians. Okay. You have the Arabians. All right. Matter of fact, let's do this. Let's type in Negroland. Alright, type in Negroland. It says Negroland or NiGRitia was an archaic term in European mapping, describing the inland and by Westerners poorly explored region in West Africa as an area populated with Negro people. Okay? Alright? Now, let's do this. So we got this map right here, this Negroland. Okay. This is the Macratus map. Alright. This is the Macratus map, and you have here alright, let me see if I can find this real quick. So you have down here the Sea of Arabia. You have Arabia right there. Okay, so now you have Egypt, the Egyptians. You have Barbary. Okay. Now, here it is. You have NiGRitia, right? You have Benin, Biafra. You have Ethiopia down here, the Ethiopians, right? Ham became the progenitor of the Ethiopians, the Egyptians, and it says the Libyans. The Libyans is on this map somewhere. I'm gonna leave I'm overlooking it, but we got the gist of that. And right here in the middle is Negroland or NiGRitia. Okay? Now, let's close this out. And let's go into this book right here called Illusions. Alright? Going into the book called Illusions. Okay? And check this out. It says, this is a cover of a book by Mungo Park stating that the Negroes had the Pentateuch or the Torah before Christianity. Relevant portion of Mungo Park's book showing Negroes had portions of the Bible. You see that? This is back in the years 1793 and 1796. Now, it says, we must also remember that Mungo Park, in his own book published in 1779, recorded seeing the Negroes or the NiGRitians with copies of the Pentateuch and Psalms. An image of the book is reproduced below. Now, let me get my flashlight here so you can see my magnifying glass, so you can see this. Give me 1 second. Okay, so anyway, so we got here glasses, you can see this. So it says here that figure 48 says Mungo Park account showing the Negroes had the Torah before Christianity was imposed on them. It says, we see Mungo Park reporting that Negroes were in possession of the Torah or Pentateuch and other books of the Bible, and this predates the idolatry called Christianity and Mohammedanism. We remember also that the 1714 book said that the people in Negroland worship the Heavenly Father, nigger, of heaven. So in Negroland, who was we worshiping? Nigger, the Most High. It says other lies used by Europeans for Negroes and black subjugation are examined in a different section. So here we have here in this book, in this guy's book, it says that the Negroes in Negroland worship someone in heaven. Who did they worship in heaven? Nigger. They worship nigger, the Heavenly Father. So let's go here. I want to read this to you. You can see this. Okay. Let me bring this out some. I don't know if you can see that. I'm about to read it for you. I'm about to read it for you. But it says here that the author says that I discovered that the Negroes are in possession, among others, of the Arbery version of the Pentateuch of Moses, which they call Torah. They call it Torah la Moses. This is so highly esteemed that it is often sold for the value of one prime slave. He says they have likewise a version of the Psalms of David called Zerah David. Alright? And lastly, the book of Isaiah. You see that? And then also on the next page, it says that to me, therefore, it was not so much the subject of wonder as a matter of regret to observe that while the superstition of Muhammad has in this manner scattered a few faint beams of learning among these poor people, the precious light of Christianity is altogether excluded. He says, I cannot but lament that although the coast of Africa has now been known and frequented by the Europeans for more than 200 years, he says, yet the Negroes will remain entire strangers to the doctrines of our holy religion. You see that? Are you hearing this? So, let's put that to the side. And it says here that, let's see. So when it says that Africans were selling other Africans, no, the Europeans and the Arabs, the Fulanis, were going around taking our ancestors and enslaving them. Okay. And like I said, this is a deep book, right? Because I'm still reading it, and I went over it a little bit in some of my other lessons. Okay, I went over to some other lessons. All right. Okay. So now we are going to let's see here. So even in this book here, they tell you that the Fulanis are not Negroes. They're not Negroes, right? So check this out. It says, this is a book called Historical Sketch of Slavery, the Earliest Periods, in 1859. It says, a book showing the Europeans alleged that Negroes were forbidden from offering bread to their Almighty, their Father. Then it says, look, it says the Negro among the Jews, as everywhere he is found, was of a prescribed race. He was even forbidden to approach the altar to offer the bread of his heavenly Father, nigger. You see that? Now, let's go here. It says right here, as at 1770, Mungo Park reported that the Negroes had no regard for Christians and Jews, but today Negroes mistake the Jews for the biblical Hebrew. Okay, now check this out. Check this out. Watch this. If you don't get this, I don't know what to tell you. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right here to the sacred N-word once again, and it says here that this is in the Webster's 20th Century Dictionary, 1943. It says NiGRitian, of or pertaining to NiGRitia, a district of Middle Africa, inhabited by true Negroes. So NiGRitians and Negroes are one of the same people, right? We were known as NiGRitians from the beginning of time. I'm going to prove it. So it says a native. A native means a person who was born in that land, or an inhabitant of NiGRitia, a true Negro. So NiGRitia and Negroland is the homeland of the Negroes or the NiGRitians. So when you go here to Negroland, it says Negroland or NiGRitia was an archaic term, meaning this is an old name, and it was populated with Negro people. Okay? Now, let's go back here, and this ain't gonna be a long lesson, because I know what the truth is now. I know what's going on. My eyes are open, my ears are wide open. Once again, because I had spoken with the author of the book, The Negro Question, Lee Cummings, today, and he even knew about the name, the sacred N-word, nigger, and he agreed with me 100%. So it says the modern name for the Most High was originally called N, Ni, or nigger. Okay. It says, let's see here. The first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is not the character letter A, but the symbol letter N, and he agreed on that too. So the original language of the Negroes, or the so-called Israelites, was the NiGRitian language, or the Negro language. That's why they keep on saying that. That's why they keep on saying that we are Negroes. We are NiGRitians. We come from the source. Our source is coming from the Heavenly Father. His name is our power, nigger. When you go to the source, of the matter, give me 1 second. Because there's no land called Yashrael over there in Africa. There's no land called Yashrael or Yisrael. But there's a land called Canaan that's inhabited by people called Canaanites. There's a land called Arabia that's inhabited by Arabians. There's a land called Egypt inhabited by Egyptians. There's a land called Libya that's inhabited by Libyans. There's a land called Ethiopia that's inhabited by Ethiopians. There's a land called Persia that's inhabited by the Persians. There's a land called Greece that's inhabited by a race of people called Greeks. There's a land called Rome that's inhabited by the Romans. There's a land called Samaria that's inhabited by the Sumerians. You niggas don't know history. You don't know geography. And there's a long land called NiGRitians that's inhabited by Negro people. That's inhabited by, it was called Negroland. It's called Negroland. It's still there. It's been there since the beginning of time. Now, the Heavenly Father's name is Nigger. His people are called niggers. The homeland is called Nigger. Negroland, NiGRitians. Now, let's put this to the side and let's go on to this book right here so I can show this, so I can prove to you that our name is Nigger. We have always been known as NiGRitians from the beginning of time. I'm about to prove it to you right now. Now this right here is going to cut your throat. I got to cut your throat. I got to cut you. I got to. But you will heal from this wound. So we're going to go into this book right here called Social History of the Mankind. Social History of the Race of the Mankind, First Divisions, NiGRitians, 1885. Just like right here on this site right here, the second N-word, the book right here called Social History of the Race of Mankind, First Divisions, 1885. I'm about to read it for you. The Arabs once renamed parts of NiGRitians Archipelago during their reign of plunder in the mid-1800s. It didn't last long because the Christian Western nations weren't about to let their wealth be controlled by Arabs. An 1800 BC to 500 BC map by Hawaii shows NiGRitians as the name of the continent. Now, let's get into the information. You ready? So, when you open up the preface part, right, it talks about all these different races of people, like with the Hebrews, the Egyptians, the Hindus, the Europeans, all these races of people, right? But they focus upon one group of people that was before all, and they were called NiGRitians, or Negroes, right? So, we're going to go here, because this book is like some 800-something pages. Okay? Now, so what we want to do is, so you can counteract this book with the site, you know what I'm saying, things like that. And we're going to go into the word too if I have enough time to prove this to you. But if this don't click for you, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so this is in the preface section, right? This is in the preface section. And it's talking about these things, right? And it says here that, it says, at the time of Christ, the Jews did not speak Hebrew. They spoke, they didn't speak, they said they didn't speak Hebrew, but they spoke Assyrio, Armenian as their common vernacular. It says, even in modern times, an attempt is being made by linguistics, metapsychosis to change the Poles partly into Russia and partly into Germans. It says, besides, there's not a language spoken in civilization, in civilized Europe that is altogether original. It says that when we drop down, it says, thus the ancient Egyptians, Egypto-Libyans, the Berbers, and other North African tribes have hitherto not been classed in any of the great divisions of the human race. But it may be affirmed without fear of the successful contradiction. It says that they are not NiGRitians, Melanesians, Moronians, Turanians, or Iranians. they differ from all these stocks not only in language and in religious development, but in physical characteristics. Okay. And it goes on to say here that when you look in the footnote, it says Bazin regards the Egyptian, which he terms Cometicism, as anti-historical Semitism. Okay? Now it goes on to talk about these things, right? And it says that, check this out. So it says here that, let's see here. It says, so far as the Egyptian religion and Egyptian art are concerned, they bear on their face the stamp of their Aramaean origin, and as original developments, they differ altogether from the religion and art of the Hindu Aryans, whose civilization is a far later growth. It says here that we're going to drop down. It says that the sarcography and mummy case of the Louvre show most clearly that the ancient Egyptians had a fine chiseled straight nose and not the flat and plump nose of the Negro. You see that? And it goes into talking about these things. It says that the Hebrews themselves looked upon the Egyptians as a kindred race cannot for one moment be doubted, if the Bible may be cited as an authority on the subject. Okay, so let's talk about things in the scriptures, right? Okay, and we're gonna go over here to the next page. Okay, and let's see here. There's a lot of information in here. This is just in the preference section, right? This is just in the preference section. And it talks about Japhet and Ham and things like that. Okay? And we're going to go over here to give me 1 second. Okay. Alright. So now we're at the social. This is the social history of the NiGRitians. Preliminary observations, right? So let's talk about where the NiGRitians live at and things like that. Where is that in Africa and things like that. Alright. And now we're going to jump over here to page let's see here. One second. Okay. Alright, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Negroes. Give me 1 second. We're gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we're gonna jump over here to page 5. So NiGRitians and Negroes are the same thing, one and the same. It says, the NiGRitian stock, which is originally developed in Equatorial Africa. So what is Equatorial Africa? Equatorial Africa, when we go to this map right here on Negroland, and you go to the Equatorial Coast, you go to the Equatorial Coast, give me 1 second. We're gonna get it. I'm gonna get you to understand this. Okay. All right. So you have the NiGRitia, right? Here's the NiGRitian, right? And you have the Bight of Biafra, and here's the equator with what they're talking about. The equator right here. All right, and it says that the NiGRitian stock was originally developed in Equatorial Africa and most of ancient Equatorial Africa, meaning the Grecia. It says it is the most ancient of all types of mankind, as Africa is the most ancient of all continents. And it talks about, it says here that the NiGRitians, it says the NiGRitian stock, it says the infant race of humankind first sprang into existence with black skin, crisp hair, low and compressed forehead, thick lips, protruding jaw, flat and long hairs. The organism of the NiGRitian presented their string of the purely animal propensities with the sensual appetites in the highest state of activity. Now, it goes on to say here that down here it says Dr. Hutt in quote Negro place in nature marks with the precision the distinctive physical characteristics of the Negro, of which the following are added to those cited in the text. It says here that long arms, which usually reach below the middle of the femur, the first toe is separated from the second by a free space. The knees are rather bent, calves but little developed, and he rarely stands upright. Okay, so it talks about these things right now. Let's go over here, right? Now check this out. So it's talking about these things, what the NiGRitians, the Negroes are doing, right? And it says here that they have only adopted, it says, the vices and certain crimes of the superiors, right? In mental power, but none of the virtues and refinements of life of the more advanced social status has ever been successfully transplanted upon the soil where they rule with undisputedly authority. Now we're going to jump down here, right? And it says here that, check this out. It says the Abyssinians and Egyptians, let's see, the Abyssinians and Egypto-Libyans who could not subdue the wildly scattered NiGRitians tribes, which the native population was too independent and too proud to perform. It says they made war upon the Negroes who were dispersed in small communities over a large extent of territory with a view of carrying them to their own country as captives and consigning them to the doom of perpetual slavery in order to render them serviceable the progressive development of their own civilization. All right. Now, when we go, we see that these other nations are coming into NiGRitia to enslave them. Right? Now, when we go over here to let's see. Okay. So it says here that taproot NiGRitians. I'm about to make a part 2 to this. It says the taproot NiGRitians, who are the aboriginal inhabitants of Taproot or Sudan, are the typical representatives of the primitive NiGRitian stock, and it is from them that all other NiGRitian branches spring, who after long continued wanderings and migrations and changes produced in their external appearance by the peculiar climate and local conditions to which they were subjected presents in some particular modified organic developments and linguistic differences which can no longer be traced in one original source. And it says here that, okay, so we know what to look like, things like that, right? And we're going to go over here to this, right, to check this out. Check this out. Listen to this. So it's talking about what the NiGRitians and Negroes do, right? Now this is in ancient times, right? Now listen to this. It says that they are at times harassed and reduced to suffering at once by the exorbitant forces of nature that withhold sometimes the fertilizing showers when they are most needed, or with blind fury destroy the most useful productions that serve for the nourishment of men. Now we're going to jump over here to page 14, right? And it's talking about these things, right? Now check this out. Check this out. Listen to this. It says here that the NiGRitians says they are hospitable from interest. They either look for immediate compensation or from some future return for their act of seemingly generous devotion. It says here that it cannot be doubted that their character was originally more simple and much less corrupted, and that the Arab slave drivers with whom they have come most in contact have much contributed by their acts of tyranny and oppression to bring them down to the lowest depth of human depravity and baseness. It says, listen to this. It is true that slavery existed among them long before the Arabs had found a permanent foothold in Africa. For they sold their own people into slavery at a time when the ancient pharaohs ruled over Egypt. But the Arabs introduced the slave trade among them. They made kidnapping a regular industrial pursuit, and the selling of human cattle became their agency and valuable branches of commerce. But let's go back up here. It says, it is true that slavery existed among them, for they sold their own people into slavery at a time when the ancient pharaohs ruled over Egypt. So the patriarchs are the NiGRitians. They are the Negroes. They're not Israelites. They're the NiGRitians. So it says that they were sold into slavery. Their own people sold them into slavery at a time when the ancient pharaohs ruled over them in Egypt. Who got sold into slavery? Who sold their own into slavery? Well, we go here to the book of Genesis, chapter 37. It says Joseph was sold as a slave by his brothers. Joseph was an NiGRitian. Joseph was a Negro. He was a Negro. He was a Negro. So what pharaoh was ruling in Joseph's time? Here's the chart. Here's the timeline. So you got Joseph was put in charge of Egypt 1885 BC. And he was under the pharaoh Zoger, the third dynasty. So the Egyptians was Zoger, the pharaoh was the Egyptian Zoger, and the Negro Joseph was put in charge of Egypt, because when his brothers came to see him, they didn't recognize him because he was dressed in Egyptian garment. But he was still classified as he still knew he was a Negro. He was a NiGRitian. He wasn't a Hebrew. He wasn't a Hebrew. They were not called Hebrews. They were not called Israelites. They were called NiGRitians. They were called Negroes. I'm proving it to you. Now, let's keep on going. So it says here that they sold their own people into slavery at a time when the ancient pharaohs ruled over Egypt. Ancient pharaohs. What ancient pharaohs? Zoger, third dynasty, Egypt. So you have an Egyptian pharaoh and you have a Negro slave. Man. Now, let's keep on going. Page 15. We in page 15, right? Okay? And it says here that it says here that so it's still talking about these things, right? They've been in slavery under the Egyptians. The Negroes, the NiGRitians were in slavery under the Egyptians. Now the Arabs then came in and enslaved them. And now it says here that now we keep on going over, and it says, listen to this. Models of a higher civilization have been presented to them by the ancient Egyptians, who established the kingdom of Ethiopia or Meroe in the very heart of their country. What country? They're talking about this. They're talking about this. They're talking about here. Negroland. They're talking about Negroland. Look, so you have the Negroland, the Negratia. You have Ethiopia right here, the Ethiopians, and Egypt is right next door. Egypt is right in here. You have Arabia, the Arabs, and Egypt right here. It's all connected. So you have the Pharaoh Jojer, and you have Negratia, Negroland. You have excuse me. You have Joseph coming from Negratia, Negroland. and Egypt is right here. So his brothers sold him and brought him to Egypt. And then you have Arabia coming in, the Arabs coming in, and sacking them. All these different countries coming in, sacking Negratia, Negroland. Let's keep on going. It says here that models of a higher civilization have been presented to them by the ancient Egyptians, who established the kingdom of Ethiopia or Meroe in the very heart of the country. It says Arabs have settled all around them, and modern Egyptians, Nubians, and Assyrians have visited them as traders and have invaded them as enemies. So they're laying it out for you. You said the Ethiopians, you have Ethiopians, you have Arabia, you have the Arabs, you have the Egyptians, you have the Abyssinians, you have the Abyssinians, and you have the Nubians. So we go to this map right here. And you have Nubia right here. So what they're saying is, I'm lining it up. So you have Negratia and Negroland right here. And it says that models of a higher civilization have the kingdom of Ethiopia or Meroe in the very heart of their country, right here. Right? It says Arabs have settled all around them. Arabia, the Arabs have settled all around them. And modern Egyptians, right here, Egypt, and Nubians, right here, Nubia, and Abyssinians have visited them as traders and have invaded them as enemies. It says they have learned from the superior races with whom they have come in contact to cultivate the soil, but their agriculture is rude and primitive. So they're saying this stuff, but they're down talking the Negroes, right? Excuse me, right? Now check this out. So they talk about these things, right? And check this out. It says here that it says that all these things that the Negroes or the NiGRitians are able to do, like farming and weaving and all this stuff, and cotton planting and planting cotton, weaving and making earthenware vases and pots and all that type of stuff and pottery. It says of the real art of tanning, they know nothing. It says they dress their skins by long and tedious manipulation. It says their architecture has not changed since the pharaohs who ruled Egypt 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. I thought those were Israelites. I thought the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were Israelites. No. They were never called Israelites. They were called NiGRitians. They were called Negroes. These scholars have laid it out for you already. They have laid it out, the answer already, and we are so ignorant, puffed up with pride, to piece this stuff together. And I done pieced it together. I done pieced it together. So Joseph was a Negro, was a NiGRitian, was sold into slavery by his brothers. And say in the book, they tell you in here, they tell you in this book that they were sold. It says they sold their own kind into slavery in Egypt. Right here. It says, it is true that slavery existed among them the NiGRitians, the Negroes, long before the Arabs had found a permanent foothold in Africa, meaning in their land. It says, for they sold their own people into slavery at a time when the ancient pharaohs ruled over Egypt. It says, but the Arabs introduced the slave trade among them, and it says they made kidnapping a regular industrial pursuit, and the selling of human cattle became through their agency a valuable branch of commerce. You see that? So we were not known as Israelites. We were known as NiGRitians, Negroes from the beginning of time. The Most High, Heavenly Father, name is Nigger. We are His children. We are niggers. Now this is a nail in the coffin right here for you. How do you gonna disprove this? How? Look what I wrote. I said, why is the author referring why does the author keep on referring back to the Bible? Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. It told you. It gave you the answer. You just got to put the pieces together. It says that it is true that slavery existed among them long before the Arabs had found a permanent foothold in Africa, for they sold their own people into slavery. When Joseph was 17 years old, he and his brothers were shepherds, but he made them angry, for he brought a bad report about them to their father. It says, now Jacob loved his son Joseph, who was born in his old age, and made him a long coat of sleeves and things like that or whatever, right? And then it says here that Joseph had a dream, which he told to his brothers, and they hated him still more. And he talks about this dream that he had, and they sold him. They sold him into slavery. His own people, his brothers, who are Negroes, NiGRitians, sold him to the Egyptians. I'm piecing it together for you. And you still won't believe me. You still won't believe me. This is a damn shame. This is a damn shame. This is ridiculous. I'm laying it out for you, clear as day. So it says that they were sold, their own people sold them into slavery at a time when the ancient pharaohs ruled over Egypt. What pharaoh was ruling Egypt at the time of Joseph? Zoger, the third dynasty. Zoger, third dynasty. Zoger was an Egyptian. Joseph was a Negro. He was a NiGRitian. He was a Negro. Zoger came from Egypt. Joseph came from Negroland in Grecia. Hey, right next door. It's nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump to sell this nigga. It's nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump. NiGRitia is right there. Nubia is right there. Arabia is right there. Let's go back to the Negro Macratus map. So you have Negroland right here, NiGRitia, and you have right here Ethiopia. You have Arabia right here, Jerusalem up there. You have Nubia right here, and you have, where's Egypt at? Egypt's right here. I looked at it. It's on this map. I'm just overlooking it. So you have Ethiopia, Nubia. You have the Red Sea. There's Moses parting the Red Sea right there, right? All this stuff is next door, right next door to each other. And you niggas still won't believe me. He still won't believe me. This is a damn shame. See, up NiGRitian is Negroland. You have Arabia right here. You have Nubia up there. Ethiopia. And I'm overlooking Egypt. Where is Egypt at? I'm overlooking Egypt. Oh, okay. And Egypt is right here. So this is NiGRitian, Negroland. They brought him all the way up here to Egypt and sold him. His own people sold him. His own brothers sold him to the Egyptians under Zoger. So they go back home to Negroland and Grecia. They go back up there because they're having a drought. They're having a drought. They're having a drought, so they got to go back to Egypt to get the grain for rice. And Joseph is out of slavery, and Zoger has made him a co-regent ruler. And when his brothers come see him, they don't recognize him because he's being dressed in Egyptian garment. He's speaking the Egyptian language, but he can still speak NiGRitian. He wasn't speaking no damn Hebrew. He was speaking the NiGRitian language. He was speaking the Negro language. So what language do the Egyptians speak? This is a damn shame. And then it goes on to say here that all these different people, all these other races of people are constantly coming into Negroland and trying to enslave them. So it says here that models of a higher civilization have been presented to them by the ancient Egyptians, who established the kingdom of Ethiopia right here, or Meroe, in the very heart of their country. What country? Negroland. It says Arabs have settled all around them. Arabia, Arabs have settled all around them. And modern Egyptians, Nubia, Nubia right there, Nubians, and Abyssinians. Okay? And then it says here that their architecture has not changed since the pharaohs who ruled in Egypt 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. So we were already here from the beginning of time. Negroland has always been here. Negroland is named after a man. Egypt is named after a man. Aren't our streets and our home and our towns, the cities, named after men? Huh? Don't you have Martin Luther King Drive that's named after a man? Huh? Man, this is sad. You can't piece this stuff together because you Negroes don't think. Why should the Most High give you more? You don't ask for it because you're not asking the right name. You don't know what his name is. This is our homeland. This is who the Most High was dealing with. In Negroland. In Negroland. They tell you in these books, in Illusions, they tell you clear as day that the Negroes already had the Torah already. Who had the Torah? Adam, Eve. Their names wasn't even Adam and Eve. I believe their name was Negro. Negro and niggas. I'm about to make a part 2 to this. I might just end up making a part 2 to this. But here it says, cover of a book by Mungo Park stating that the Negroes had the Pentateuch or the Torah before Christianity. Relevant portions of Mungo Park book showing the Negroes had portions of the book. It says here that we see Mungo Park reporting that the Negroes were in possession of the Torah or the Pentateuch and other books of the Bible, and this predates the idolatry called Christianity and Mohammedanism. We remember also that the 1714 book said that the people in Negroland, in NiGRitian, right here, the people in Negroland, NiGRitian, when you go back here, when you go back here to Negroland, it says Negroland or NiGRitians was an old name. So it says here that the people in Negroland worship somebody in heaven. Who do they worship? They worship the Most High. They worship NEGER. They worship NEGER, their father. And all these other races, all these other nations of people got mad. They got jealous. Look at this, man. Look at the map. All these other races of people, all these other nationalities, Ethiopia, Egypt, Arabia, Nubia, Abyssinia, they all coming here to NiGRitians, to Negroland, because they know where this power is at. We have the power. We have the key. The key is in our name. Our name, and the name of the Heavenly Father is NEGER. His people are called niggers. And the homeland is called NiGRitians, Negroland. If you don't get this, I can't help you anymore. I can't. It's like beating a dead doorknob. This is a shame. They're telling you in these books that we worship. It says that the people in Negroland worship somebody of heaven. Who in heaven was they worshiping? Negroland. They wasn't worshiping on Yahweh or Yahuwah or Yahweh or Jesus. None of those names. They were worshiping somebody of heaven. What name do we insert right here? He says, if my people are called by my name, he says, I will put my name on my people. What name is that? NEGER. NEGER is the name of the Most High. They say they worship somebody in Negroland in heaven. He said the Lord of heaven. Who is in heaven? Who is the Heavenly Father that's in heaven? NEGER. NEGER is the name of the Most High, the Creator. And his people so happens to be the so-called African Americans who are Negroes, who are niggers. Who are niggers. So, let's do this again. That's why he said this. Hope I don't get copyright strike, because if I do, I have to make this video all over again.
Nigga, be niggas. Fuck it. Y'all niggas. And I bet you niggas do think y'all white. College don't mean shit. Y'all niggas. And you gon' be niggas forever. Just like us. Ever. And you gon' be niggas. College don't mean shit. Y'all niggas. And you gon' be niggas forever.
He said in the book of Exodus 30, chapter 3, verse 4, he says, my name is, he says, I am NEGER. This is my name forever. Forever. Exodus 3:14. He says, and the Most High said to Moses, I am that I am. I am who I am. He says, I am NEGER. He says, I have sent me to you. Ahia has sent me unto you. Verse 15. Verse 15. He's not done talking yet. And he says here that in verse 15, it says here that the Most High said further unto Moses, thus should you say to the children of the NiGRitians, NEGER, the Almighty of your fathers, the Almighty of Abraham, the Almighty of Isaac, the Almighty of Jacob has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. He says, I am NEGER. He says, say not to the Israelites, say to the NiGRitians, NEGER. NEGER. He says, this is my name forever. This is how I am to be remembered in every generation, forever. And when you go to this site right here, the second N-word, we have been known as niggers from the beginning of time. With that being said, peace, peace, peace.